Well, good evening. Good to be here. I'd like to start off by saying that I have been living here in the UK for a little while in a little town called Wolverhampton. Thank you very much. It is pretty beautiful. I remember driving into Wolverhampton for the first time, and I saw everybody in their tracksuits. And I thought, God damn, this place is really healthy. I'm gonna tell you something. Living there has taught me a lot about you English people. You guys won't pay jack squat. You guys won't pay 10 pounds for nothing. Okay? I was in this little place called Bilston, okay? And there was this guy selling meat out of a freaking van. Okay? Don't worry. Now, there's something about a guy selling meat out of a van that attracts you people like flies. You lose your minds, okay? And he had a crowd probably just a little bit bigger than this. And he starts freaking everybody out, right? He's sitting there going, what I got here? He says, I got a rump roast. Normally, $12.95 at Tesco's. And everybody's losing it. Everybody's just looking at each other going, shit, he's right, it is $12. This guy knows his meat price. And he goes, do you want to know what I'm gonna do with this rump roast? Now I'm losing my mind. I'm like, we got a mystery to solve here, Scoop. What's he gonna do with the rump roast? He goes, I'm gonna put this rump roast on the scale. I'm like, damn, I never saw that coming, man. And he says, do you think this is all the meat I'm gonna put on the scale? Do you think I just drove up here in a van with one rump roast? I'm looking at him going, man, if you did. You are the most tragic meat van driver I've ever known. Well, you just driving around with one rump roast, are you? He goes, I've got 18 pork chops. Do you want to know what I'm going to do with these pork chops? And I'm like, man, I bet he put some on the scale. He goes, I'm gonna put these pork chops on the scale. I'm like, I knew it, man. You can't fool me twice, meat man guy. And then he said this, and I will never forget this as long as I live. As long as there is breath in this body, I will never forget this. Then he goes, I've got a bag full of when he said, I've got a bag full of well, didn't I just die? I'll guarantee you right now I was the only one laughing. Because you can't say that where I'm from. And you especially can't have a bag full. Okay? If somebody came up to me where I'm from and said, Tom, I got a bag full of I'd go, you've changed, Gary. Yeah. And then he held the scale up like it was the Holy Grail. And it was like this big holy mountain of meat. There might as well have been light coming off of it. And he, trying to lick it. But when we were looking at that mountain of meat, we were all thinking the same thing. I was watching everybody's faces. We were all just looking at each other going, just say it's a fiver. When he said 10 pounds, there was anger. Mixed in with a lot of disappointment. And that's when I realized, you like your cheap shit here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me here, bro.
Thank you. The rest of you relax. I'm thinking the same thing looking at you people. So. You freaks. And don't worry, there's no need to buy a big issue off me. So you can Which, by the way, I hope you're decent enough people to do buy the big issue. At least, give some money to homeless people. I hope you're not those people that go, no. I only give my money to registered charities. That way, I know where my money's going. No, you don't. You're not morally superior. You're just gullible and conformist. I know exactly where my money's going, to this bloke with 3 socks and no shoes. And now it's going to the off-licence. Well, it's perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. Well, that's their big moral high ground a lot of the time, You don't give these people money. No. They'll just spend it on drink and drugs. Well, what do you think I was going to spend it on? Hypocrites. What kind of weird world do we live in where they go, don't associate with people less fortunate than yourself who have to live in the street, who have no money. Don't help them out by having a conversation or giving them a few coins. Don't do that. Why don't you just send the money to us and we'll make sure they get it. Anyway, it's wonderful to be. I'm from Australia, actually, although I have an English father, Australian mother. Some Scottish bloke said that makes me Welsh, so... Being in England for many years now, I understand, all of you, and myself included, we all have to live under the weird and oppressive regime of health and safety regulations. Which is very strange, isn't it? Because, Remember in the old days, before health and safety? Remember when it was called common sense? Remember those days? Remember many years ago when you used to go, look, there's a great big deep hole. Will I step in it? No, I'll just walk around it like that. Well, how'd you manage to learn to do that? Well, my parents taught me not to be a moron. And I just kind of carried it on from there. See, the Dutch, they'll treat you like an adult. You're in Amsterdam. You're in a city. They sell pot. They sell mushrooms. There's trams. There's buses. There's cabs. There's push bikes with women, with kids strapped to the front of them. There's a road next to a canal. Is there a fence? No. No fence. England, there'd be a big sign, big fence. Don't go in the water. Don't all fall in the water and drown. Don't go in. Amsterdam, is your bike wet? Yeah. Well, you're on the wrong bit, mate. And then we have political correctness, which is the joy that is the other side of health and safety, which is health and safety, which is a small oppression of our physical movement, so we can't do anything without permission from the state. And political correctness is the oppression of our intellectual movement, so no one says anything anymore in case somebody else gets offended. What happens if you say that and someone gets offended? Well, they can be offended. What's wrong with being offended? When did sticks and stones may break my bones stop being relevant? Isn't that what you teach children, for God's sake? That's what you teach toddlers. He called me an idiot. Don't worry about him. He's a dick. Now you have adults going, I was offended, and I have rights. Well, so what? Be offended. Nothing happens. You're an adult. Grow up. Deal with it. I was offended. I don't care. Nothing happens when you're offended. There's nothing... I went to the comedy show and the comedian said something about the Lord and I was offended. And when I woke up in the morning, I had leprosy. Nothing happens. I want to live in democracy, but I never want to be offended again. Well, you're an idiot. How do you make a law about offending people? How do you make it an offence to offend people? Being offended is subjective. It has everything to do with you as an individual or a collective or a group or a society or a community, your moral conditioning, your religious beliefs. What offends me may not offend you, and you want to make laws about this? I'm offended when I see boy bands, for God's sake. It's a valid offence. I'm offended. They're corporate shills posing as musicians to further a modelling career, and frankly, I'm disgusted. Right? But what am I going to do? Call the cops? Hello, it's me again. They're on the telly this time. 5 of them, that's it. Yeah, white suits, dancing like girls, that's them. 5 minutes, I'll be out the front traumatised. Bye. And now we can't smoke anywhere either. No smoking. No. For our health. No, it's not. It's for control. No smoking. Can we still buy cigarettes? Of course. Where can we smoke them? Nowhere. You can smoke them in the woods under a blanket with a torch. Unless it's raining, then health and safety regulations do stipulate that. If you think it's about health, it's not. It's about control. And there's an easy way to understand this because the Irish were the first to stop smoking in pubs. Now, who saw that coming? Not the Irish. I'd love to have been there the day they told them. What? It's us. We're first. Come on, no. In pubs. But we live in pubs. I tried to give them up. I tried to give up cigarettes. I bought a book on addiction. It said apparently in this book, if you're addicted to something, when you give it up, you replace it with something else. Like a hobby. Huh? So I did a pottery course. Huh? Yeah, first day, everyone made ashtrays. Huh? It was a crap plan, you know, and very embarrassing after sex as well. You were great, baby. Yeah, I've made you a pot. Thank you very much. Have a brilliant night. Hope you enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Hello, are we well, Birmingham? We good? Yeah. Birmingham, all right, Birmingham. You all right, lads? It's one of those places, Birmingham, where people feel, when they find out that you're from Birmingham, that they have to in some way attempt the accent. I don't know if have you noticed? You say you're from Birmingham, it's like a red flag to a bull. So, it's from Birmingham. Birmingham. All right, Babs. Because I'm from Yorkshire. Do we have any Yorkshire people in? The Yorkshires. Most people don't leave Yorkshire. It's weird because I left Yorkshire. I live in London. And when I go home, I have to prove I haven't changed. And they're all looking for signs that you've changed. It's hilarious. You get back in the pub, they're going, look at him coming up from London with his fancy wares. Look at him. Look at him, I say he's back. Look at him showing off in his shoes. Look at him. Shoes and socks, la-di-da. Trousers with pockets, fancy man. And I've got kids as well. What can I tell you? I'm married, I've got kids, I've got 3 kids, 10, 8 and 5, weird names. We do okay, me and wifey. The rows change. The rows change when you first move in. You realise the surrender necessary to be in a relationship. You'll be around the house, for instance. You'll be making a sandwich. You'll have made many sandwiches before in your life that will have passed without incident. You're enjoying yourself. You're interacting with bread. It's got a peaceful quality about it. It's like bread jazz. It's like, yeah, making a sandwich. You're doing that thing where you shut the fridge door with your arse. It's a kind of... You're making a sandwich. Life's good. She comes up. She goes, what are you doing? And you go, I'm making a sandwich. She has a little look. She goes, you're making a mess. Well, I'm just making a sandwich. She's like, well, who's going to tidy that? Oh. Well, I'm going to eat the sandwich, so that won't be there. She's like, well, what about the chopping board and the knives and the forks? Making a sandwich around the house. You can make a sandwich around the house. This is what your life's like from now on. Well, I'll do it later. She goes, no. No, you won't do it later. No, that's not how I live. No, I've got standards. You won't do it later. No, you'll do it now. You'll tidy up as you go along. Who came up with this Nazi philosophy? Where did this come from? People tidy up as we go along. Any signs of life will be eradicated at source. We must tidy up the life signs. You stick your knife in the marge, your spread of choice. I don't want to get into that, too complicated. You'll spread it on the bread, yeah? Afterwards, what are you left with? On the knife, what are you left with? Butter. Getting a bit snobby there, obviously from Harborne. Butter. What's you messing about with Marge? We only do butter here. Someone from Dudley. Lard. Just off the back of the fridge there, get a bit of lard on it. Look at him showing off with his bread. You've got a bit of Marge, am I right? With crumbs, am I right? That kind of crummy, margy residue. Am I right? Don't think she hasn't noticed. She's on it like a hawk. She's like, oh, this will be very interesting. See what he does with the crummy margy residue. Fellas, where does it go, that crummy margy residue? Where does it go? Back in the tub, am I right, fellas? Yeah. Back in the tub, life short, smooth it over, who's to know? There's women thinking, no! Running in front of the tub, no! Even then it's no, but that should be it. That should be the end of the row. But there's another phase to the row. You made a sandwich. You've tidied up as you go along. That should be it. But you pass her in the corridor on the way to the front room. She stood there just like, what? What, you're not making me one? You're not making me one? We've just seen me make one. I mean, you obviously don't want one. Yeah, but no one's asked me. No one's actually asked. I mean, I'm obviously invisible because you haven't thought to ask me whether or not... Fine, if that's how you want to live, that's how you want to live. Next time I do Sunday roast, I'll assume you don't want any chicken. Is that how you want to live? Because I can live like that. Is that how you want to live? All right, do you want me to make you a sandwich? No. But it's nice to be asked. Even then it's obvious. You made a sandwich. You've tidied up as you go along. You've established she doesn't want one. You're there, in the front room, about to bite into your sandwich that you've lovingly prepared at length. Just about to bite into that sandwich joy. What happens? She's there going, can I have a bite? She's like, you've just said you don't want a sandwich. You just said. We've been through this. No, I don't want a sandwich. I don't want a sandwich. I just want some of your sandwich. I just want some of you every day. Some couples never row. They're fantastic. Normally a strong woman, isn't it? Normally a strong woman, they're out and about. We never row, do we, Nigel? We never row. We just talk things through at length, don't we? And then reach the conclusion to do things my way. You always see 5 years later in a documentary, some blokes are going, I bludgeoned her to death with a claw hammer. She wanted a bit of my sandwich, I just cracked, you know. The hammer was at hand. And then I chopped her up and I tidied up as I went along. So... Listen, you've been a fantastic audience. You might, God bless. Thank you very much. Take care, Birmingham.
So I'm Shappi, and I am a female Iranian stand-up comedian. The other comics backstage, they call me the box ticker. Because you grow into your name. Whatever name you're given, your personality fits into it. Like, have you ever met a Karen who isn't really outgoing and a bit crazy? Or a Fiona who isn't a complete bitch? Any Fionas in tonight? No, they're all out eating babies. I tell you what, if you ever want to have a real laugh, travel to America with an Iranian passport. If you haven't got one, I'll give you one of mine. I've got loads. I was checking in at Los Angeles airport, and at first they were lovely. They were like, oh my God, I love her accent. Oh my gosh, she's from Iran. Search the bitch. So, geez, you guys are so harsh here at immigration. I'm worried. You see, I'm worried they're going to bomb Iran. I rang up my granny who lives in Iran. I said, Granny, that's her name. They say they're going to bomb you next. How do you feel about that? I didn't just blurt that out, obviously. I prefaced it with other little bits of chit-chat. You know, how are the cousins? They're all dead. Let's move on. And she said, well, darling, depends on when they bomb us. I'm building an extension to my kitchen. If they bomb before, it might help. By the way, this isn't an Iranian accent. This is a generic foreign accent I do, because I'm trying to get work on Radio 4 drama. I'm such a big fan of The Archers. I'm so overexcited. But I love the Radio 4 dramas, because Radio 4 tries to be very culturally inclusive. And they set their plays in exotic places, and on a Saturday you tune in and the announcer will go, now we go over to our Saturday play, The Milkmaid of Kabul. And wherever the play is set, the signature tune is always like this. Hey, Fatima, fetching the goats. I digress. So, my granny said, depends on when they bomb us. I'm building extension to my kitchen. If they bomb before, it might help. If they bomb afterwards, I kill them. Possibly not the most powerful anti-war argument you've ever heard, but builders in Tehran are pricey, and there are no Polish people. Now, if you're wondering if that joke was politically correct, it's fine. I checked with my cleaner. I met this Indian old lady at a bus stop recently, and she thought I was Indian, you know, because of my face. And she started chatting to me in Hindi, and she was so sweet and friendly. I didn't have the heart to tell her that I don't speak Hindi, so I just pretended that I could and just nodded at everything she said. I don't know what I was agreeing to, but she went off and came back with her son for me. We were engaged for quite some time. And this Greek woman, I went into a bakery, a Greek woman ran it, and she thought I was Greek. She starts talking to me in Greek, and this time I learnt my lesson. I said, I don't speak the language. And she goes, it's not your fault, your mother should have taught you. I found myself thinking, yeah, man, I can't believe my mum never taught me Greek. Lazy cow. But we bonded, me and this lady, and as I left, she gave me a free bun. And she goes, darling, tell me, what is your name? And I was like, damn, think of a Greek name. It's Hercules. Because I am from the Middle East, people always assume that I'm religious. I'll be drinking a glass of wine, guaranteed someone will come up to me and go, what should you be drinking that? It's alcohol, you know. And I'll go, calm down, it's halal wine. The grape was cut in a humane way. See, I didn't have any religion growing up. For ages, I thought that Muslims and Jewish people don't eat pork because pigs are so cute. And I thought that rabbi was the plural for rabbit. It's not. I have a Jewish friend, and she freaked out one day because she had a piece of ham by accident. I did it. I was only 8. And she freaks out going, oh my God, my rabbi's going to kill me. And I was like, why, have you not cleaned the hutch? So, I went to this quite twee primary school, but I went to a big London comprehensive school for my teenage high school years. It was a sort of school that I couldn't get eye contact with the popular girls, the in crowd, because they'd be like, what are you looking at? What? I'm not being racist, but they were always the white girls. And they used to say they weren't my friend. They thought I was a posh snob. You're a posh snob. You're a snob. And I try and say to them, look, I'm not a posh snob. I'm no different to you, for goodness sake. I'm an outsider as well. My parents are first-generation immigrants. They can't read or write English, just like yours. So I didn't like my school, but I have a little sister who's 15 years younger than me, and she was one of those what girls. She still is. She goes, Shappi, man, you don't know what it's like out on the streets. I'm like, well, it's a bit parky. She goes, shut up, man, because I got mates there that can take a bullet for me. Take a bullet for her. She works in an old people's home on Saturdays. They love her. I like that. You're impressed with that? Do you want to see the Iranian version of that? Look, watch this. If you said, that makes you a racist. She likes those singers that don't really sing, they talk. Do you know the ones I mean? I'm not really singing, I'm just talking, and I don't know why I'm talking in this accent, because I was privately educated, and you shouldn't have bought my sister. That was a bit disrespectful, but I possibly shouldn't have gone down on your dad. Al fresco. Someone asked me the other day if I speak Arabic, because Iranians aren't Arab, and a lot of people think that we are, but they're very, very different. Arabic sounds like this, yalla, mashallah, and Farsi, Persian, sounds like this, yalla, mashallah, completely different. But they're both very passionate languages, and that passion sometimes comes across as aggression. I've had to explain to my friends that when they hear me talking to my family going, what I'm actually saying is, oh my God, you look fabulous. Loving the necklace. Do you know, I never wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I actually wanted to be a doctor. My parents pushed me into this. They were like, only Western whores become doctors. But when I was a really little kid, I really wanted to be a horse. Because if you're a real horse, you can do a big poo in the street, and everyone just gathers around you going, isn't she magnificent? This is very showbiz. Do you know, my mum is very proud of what I do, and I took her to a showbiz party, and I was so excited because I introduced her to Lenny Henry. I pretended I knew him. I introduced her to Lenny Henry, and she was so excited, my mum. She was chatting to him, and he was going, ah! No, they were getting on really well until my mum called him Ainsley. See, that's just an example of accidental racism, isn't it? That can happen to any of us. Because racism's like chlamydia, isn't it? We've all had a dose, but we don't admit to it. So I try to be so politically correct. I was talking to this Chinese man recently. You see, I nearly said Chinaman. You can't say Chinaman, that sounds too colonial. I met a Chinaman, jolly good fellow, shot him in the eye. And I said, so what's your name? And he said, Comiton. And I did that very PC thing of I repeated his name and I added a Chinese accent to it to show that I cared very much about the correct pronunciation. I said, oh, I see, Comiton. And he went, no, call me Tom. I've been Shappi Khorsandi. You've been wonderful. Thank you.